Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar. My name is Karen and I'll be hosting today's webinar on seasonal self-care, tips from MIU's Ayurveda experts. So we're representing Maharishi International University's Ayurveda programs. So Maharishi International University, our tagline is home of consciousness-based education. And consciousness means that it's a field of intelligence that underlies reality and experience. And the way we approach this in terms of an educational approach is to support the development of consciousness so that each individual is strengthened not only in developing their own consciousness, their own sense of self-awareness, but also that they're increasingly feeling connected and integrated with a consciousness that's all around us, a living intelligence that's a part of nature's own intelligence. So it's a very specific approach, and sometimes we refer to it as the consciousness paradigm. But what happens is you'll see on this website that there's a lot to do with almost an approach or a set of values that have been a lively part of this learning community. So you'll see that we've emphasized self-knowledge and inner growth, a really critical component of developing consciousness. And another area that we've always valued is natural health and wellness. Naturally, as soon as you start taking care of your consciousness, you start noticing that there's an inclination towards eating better and taking care of yourself. And today we'll be focusing on natural health and wellness, which includes components like eating organic food, perhaps with a lot more vegetarian components. There's so many other features, but because today's webinar is about Ayurveda, those are the main things I wanted to highlight about the website. So the MIU is an accredited nonprofit university, accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. And we want to let you know that financial aid is available, so please complete your FAFSA. And we have a very accurate way of gauging how much aid you will qualify for if you were to become a student here. So that's the financial aid calculator, only takes 10 seconds. So this is the list of all of the programs that integrate Ayurveda or in integrative health. And we have lead faculty and administrators from all these big categories. So we have undergraduates, online and on-campus programs. We have opportunities to specialize in Ayurveda, major in Ayurveda, or get a minor. And in the graduate level, there is a master's level Ayurveda and integrative medicine. And there's also a fellowship in integrative medicine and Ayurveda for doctors and advanced practice providers. So in today's webinar, you'll come away knowing what is Ayurveda. You'll also be receiving tips for seasonal changes based on Ayurveda, so you get a sense of the knowledge paradigm. And then you'll also learn very specific information about the Ayurveda programs. That'll be towards the end where you'll get specific details about prerequisites, when to apply, application deadlines. Okay, so our panelists today, we have Dr. Shankari Wegman. So she'll be representing the fellowship program in integrative medicine for doctors. We also have Mahmuda Hotak, who's representing MS in aromatherapy and Maharishi Ayurveda. We have Natasha Durand, director of the online bachelor's program in Ayurveda Wellness. She can also address questions about the on-campus undergraduate program. And then we have Dr. Paul Moorhead, who's the associate dean of the College of Integrative Medicine. We're going to have our panelists turn on their videos so you can see all of them at once. Okay, so we want to first start with establishing our paradigm and some definitions about Ayurveda. We want to know a little bit about this particular system of holistic self-care. So Dr. Paul Moorhead, you're our veteran faculty member. I think we've all had classes with you. We'd love to hear from you. How do you usually present Ayurveda? And yeah.
Thank you, Karen, and panelists, and welcome everyone. Warm welcome. Over 70 people here. It's great. So glad to see you. I hope you're not snowed in like I am. We have ice on the roads here. It's winter, or becoming winter. So Ayurveda, Ayu, many of you know, means life, and Veda means knowledge or science. So Ayurveda is the ancient science of life. That's a pretty big topic. Can you think of anything that does not impact your health? Your food, the sunlight, the moonlight, where you live, what you do, your exercise, your relationships, even, the sun, the moon, the stars, everything impacts our health. So it's a big science, the science of life, Ayurveda. Ayurveda is the most ancient system of natural health care from ancient India. And it is an understanding of how the individual can become healthy and live a long, happy life in tune with the laws of nature, because we're all a part of nature. And so Ayurveda teaches us, first of all, who we are. That's very important. And how we can become more of who we are, and how we can reconnect to our own inner intelligence. So in Ayurveda, this is the original personalized medicine, original individualized medicine. So when we see a client, the first thing we want to know is, who is this person? What is their true nature? And that's where we start. We don't start with disease or imbalance or anything. We start with, who is this person? And then the whole secret in Ayurveda is to bring someone back to their own nature. That's really what Ayurveda does. So it's completely natural, without side effects. It's a beautiful system, and it includes everything: diet, lifestyle, behavior, exercise, asanas, meditation, herbs, architecture, music. There's Ayurvedic, there's Gandharva Veda music. So every field of life you learn to enliven that inner intelligence and come back to one's own nature. And the main feature of Maharshi Ayurveda, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi is our founder of our university and the founder of the Transcendental Meditation Program. The main difference between Maharshi Ayurveda and other systems of Ayurveda, or understandings of Ayurveda, is that it is consciousness-based, as is our whole university. And consciousness is the inmost self of everyone, the simplest form of human awareness, which is a field, interestingly, of perfect balance, perfect health. And getting connected to that, primarily through the Transcendental Meditation Program, a simple, natural, effortless technique, is the best way to connect with one's own self, one's own true inner nature, and restore balance. So that's a 2-minute introduction to something that we could talk about for 3 years, and we do, or 7 years. But that just gives you a brief overview.
Thank you so much, Dr. Paul. And it's a good overview. So I think maybe we could find out from Shankari, like how we would navigate this season, for example. Well, okay, it's very Midwest centric maybe, but we're entering a cold season. Are there specific approaches that are reflective of Ayurveda, and how would you handle integrating that to someone with not much background? Oh, and
That's a great question, Karen. Thank you. And hello to everyone. So you're asking just with that connection to the seasons. And that's just a lovely way for us to understand that we have a connection to the environment around us, and the environment around us impacts our health and our well-being. And so we have opportunities with Ayurveda to be self-referral, meaning that we can come back to the self and see what things that we can do through diet, through lifestyle that Dr. Paul had mentioned, to allow us to be more in tune with these cycles of nature. And we can see that in the daily cycles of night and day. There's different times that Ayurveda recommends that different activities are more enhanced, the results of those activities. And the same thing with the seasons. There are these principles known as doshas, which are governing values of intelligence. They govern different aspects of the physiology. There's 3 main doshas: vata dosha, pitta dosha, and kapha dosha. And they're each made up of 2 of the 5 elements. So these 5 elements are kind of the fundamental building blocks of nature. We have space, air, fire, water, and earth, and they combine in different ways. So Vata dosha is made up of space and air. The lightest dosha can't get lighter than space and air. And then you have this dynamic Pitta dosha made up of fire and water. And you have more of that heavier principle of the combination of earth and water, which is Kapha dosha. And we can see these values reflected in the seasons. So, for example, if you think of summer, you would think, oh, that's more of that hot nature. So there is a connection to Pitta dosha. When we think of winter, and I'm in that ice storm that Dr. Paul was mentioning, it's more of that cold, windy, very light, dry value, and that's connected more with Vata dosha. So we would say right now, we're in a Vata dosha kind of season, and to come into balance, maintain balance, come back into balance, we would recommend principles to help Vata dosha, that principle, have that value of balance. So Vata is light by nature, there's a dryness by nature, there's a moving quality, just like the wind blows here and there, there's some irregularity to Vata. So the way to balance that would be the opposite principle. So having something that's more heavy, more warm in nature, values of creating more regularity. So we can see in winter, things that Ayurveda would recommend is favoring foods that are warm, favoring foods that are a little bit more heavy or have more unctuous value, like adding a little bit of olive oil or ghee or those kinds of values to our foods, and also to our physiology, having that oil massage, having regular kinds of activities during the day where we're eating regularly, we're going to sleep, regularly. So there's different principles, general principles that Ayurveda would recommend to balance Vata, and more specifically, favoring that heavy, warm, cooked foods that have the tastes more of sweet, sour, and salty. These are more of the heavier tastes from Ayurveda. So these are some general ways in terms of the diet that we're eating, the timings, eating regularly, favoring good sleep, getting a good quality of sleep, especially because that value, if any disturbance in sleep can create irregularity in Vata dosha. And even that value of oil massage, having, more of that unctuous, warm oil on the physiology, it just helps us feel that lubrication as we go out into this very dry, light kind of season. So these are just some general tips, and they can become more specific for each individual, because we're all, unique. But these are just some general tips that we can employ that helps us stay in tune with the cycles of these, seasonal changes. And doing this also helps us be prepared for the next season, which is springtime, which is more of that kapha season. So as we move through space and time, and we're just, kind of modifying, we're becoming more self-referral, it helps us maintain that value as we move through the different cycles of the day and the seasonal cycles as well.
Thank you. This is just to get you excited about the kind of content you would be learning and how you would be learning how to apply these principles to your own routine. Let me just check through recent chat points to see if there's anything relevant. Do all patients and clients of healthcare providers trained in Maharishi Ayurveda receive recommendations to learn transcendental meditation? We could ask that now. Why not? How does transcendental meditation fit into this paradigm? You want to do that, Dr. Paul? You want to take that one?
Yes, sure. Very good question. The definition of health in Ayurveda is a Sanskrit word called swastha. And swastha means established in oneself, established in one's own nature. We were talking about getting in touch with your own nature. Your own nature, it turns out, is this field of perfect balance, perfect order, and happiness, pure consciousness. The Sanskrit word is also Atma, the self. And how do we experience that field of consciousness? Because we're so busy in life, thinking and acting and seeing through the senses and everything, and mind is always very busy. How do we experience consciousness itself? We're always conscious of everything outside, but how do we become conscious of our own nature? And the simplest way we know and scientifically validated is the simple system of transcendental meditation, simple, effortless technique, where the mind settles down and just comes to experience, very naturally, experience this field of pure consciousness, just consciousness all by itself, the simplest form of human awareness. And we're consciousness-based, our university and our program in Ayurveda is consciousness-based. And so transcendental meditation gives you the direct experience effortlessly twice a day of the field of consciousness. And what happens is the mind settles down, brain waves become very coherent all over. Alpha-1, unique brainwave signature of transcendental consciousness in TM. Pure consciousness is alpha-1 coherence all over the brain. The whole brain becomes engaged, but it's silent, it's restfully alert. And that is the Atma of everyone. That's the consciousness, the self of everyone. And that is this field, experience of perfect order. The brain becomes orderly, the physiology gets deep rest and becomes very orderly. It's the foundation of Maharishi Ayurveda. It is the essence of Maharishi Ayurveda because we're coming back to our own true nature, not just our thoughts, not just our concepts, not just our education, but our very self, the Atma of everyone. So it's a simple technique we have from Maharishi to experience the foundation of health. Because if the mind is balanced, what happens to the body? It gets balanced. So, and they become integrated. The mind and body become very closely integrated. And that's essential. Those of you who know about yoga, yoga means unification. Unification of mind, body, senses, and consciousness. That's actually the definition of life in Ayurveda. The togetherness of mind, body, senses, and consciousness. So health requires this experience of consciousness. Yoga requires this experience of consciousness. In fact, the definition of yoga also, Yoga's Chitta Vriddhi Nirodha is the second Yoga Sutra. It means yoga is transcending of the activity of the mind. So whether we come from the direction of yoga or we come from the direction of Ayurveda, the experience of the self, where you go to the Oracle of Delphi in Greece and they say, know thyself. What is the self? It's this field of pure consciousness, perfect balance, the basis of perfect health. So everyone in our university practices transcendental meditation. I'm very, very fortunate because it's that technique which gives you the essence of health immediately. You don't have to study for 4 years. In a weekend, you learn transcendental meditation, and there you have it. You know yourself. You start to know yourself. Very beautiful.
Well, you've also addressed the question of why study Ayurveda at MIU. And it's because there's this link that you've just made between not just that holistic form of self-care, but a development of consciousness through the technique of TM. So thank you for that very full answer. We also have Mamuda here, and I know there are people specifically interested in aromatherapy. Would you be able to give us some seasonal tips from that viewpoint? Like, how would you integrate aromatherapy in approaching health and creating balance in this season?
Oh, that's a very good question, Karen, and hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. And first, I want to just talk about Maharishi aromatherapy. It's a personalized approach in aromatherapy, and it is deeply grounded into Maharishi Ayurveda principles. So when we are talking aromatherapy, just like Dr. Paul said, and Dr. Shankari said, it's very personalized. So it's based on who the person is and how we are supporting this person bring balance through the seasons. So for example, right now it's Vata season. Just like Dr. Shankri explained, it's chilly outside, it's cool, there's dryness. And in this season, we look at the whole person first. Who is this person? Because each of those doshas also is in us. Actually, all three are part of us, but we're usually dominant in one or two. And based on knowing the person's dominant dosha, we can give them aromatherapy recommendations that could keep them balanced through the seasons. For example, right now, we see that it's cool outside, so we're looking for oils that are very warming. They have that value of warmth, and also they're nourishing. So we'll be looking for somebody who is more Vata dominant, oils like frankincense, myrrh, and patchouli. And if somebody's more Pitta dominant, we will be looking at oils like lavender, sandalwood, and geranium. And if somebody's more Kapha dominant, we would want to recommend essential oils that are more stimulating, like cloves, cinnamon, and cardamom. And we would also personalize the method of application of these oils based on the person's prakriti or dominant dosha constitution. So if we're in Vata season right now, in the cold season, and we have somebody who is a Vata dominant constitution, so warm oil massages with a base oil like sesame oil, which is a warming oil, we'll add either frankincense, myrrh, or patchouli, and the correct ratios. And they can do a whole body massage or a head massage, and it just brings that grounding value to them and also nourishes the whole physiology. So basically, everything that comes from aromatherapy, it is very personalized, and it depends on who the person is that we are giving the recommendation to.
Right. Thank you so much. It gives a really exciting, inspirational idea of what your program will offer. And just noticing that Dr. Paul is kindly taking all these notes. It's so helpful. Thank you. All right. Well, we want to hear from Natasha, and then after that, we'll be giving very specific points about each program. I think we could easily go on for another hour or two, but it's a bit of a teaser. Natasha, would you share a little bit about your areas of specialization? And you're welcome to respond to any point so far. We've been sort of treating the subject of seasonal tips, but if there's a whole other angle you want to take, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. So hello, everybody. I'm Natasha. I'm the program director for our Bachelor's of Arts in Ayurveda, Wellness, and Integrative Health. I actually specialize as a life coach. So I've been doing life coaching in some degree for well over 20 years. And I came to Maharishi Ayurveda because, as Dr. Paul, Shankri, and Mahmouda have pointed out, this really offers individuals a chance to connect with their inner self, this balanced self, and it helps them to connect to nature. And one of the things whenever I meet with clients, or even when I speak with students who are working to integrate our principles, is oftentimes what I find is that people want to take this complete like 180. They just want to completely overhaul their lives. But if we actually look at nature's rhythms and we look at how nature does things gradually and over time. And it also does it within its own time. And so one of the things that I have found is that when we approach change, when we approach things like self-care routines, or just routine changes in general, diet changes, exercise, things of that nature, when we take them in more of a gradual, natural way, we find that they stick around a lot longer. And so one of the things that we work on here is integrating those principles into habit change and into our coaching techniques, our consulting techniques, because what we're working towards is helping people make these lifelong changes. And so my biggest suggestion to people is especially during the winter time is this great time to really settle into yourself, establish yourself in that meditation, establish and ground yourself into a routine that is easy and effortless to you. And this is the perfect time to get in touch with that silence. Because from silence comes dynamism. And so by the time spring comes around, the sun's out for a lot longer, we're starting to kind of feel that life and vitality come back. We're really ready to hit the ground running. And so some of the things that I teach my students is really how to embrace that seasonal feeling and that seasonal rhythm. And following those rhythms is probably some of the best self-care that I've personally found for myself. So right now I'm loving sitting in and eating, as Dr. Shankari, pointed out, these unctuous foods, these soups, these khicheris, things of that nature. And as Mamuda pointed out, my room is full of the lavender scent. And I get to bed on time, and I just get this beautiful routine that tends to get disrupted in the summer, though, because in the summer I pick up with the activity and I really settle into that kind of pitta nature. I get out to the beach and I'm out walking and I'm embracing the energy of summertime. But living within nature's rhythms and nature's energy, I found has been some of the most rewarding self-care that people can settle into. Embracing that energy and that rhythm is a wonderful way to live.
I'm so glad you gave us a very practical strategy for integrating it. That change is gradual and it's just done over time. So it's more sustainable. And thank you for giving us a really beautiful vision of what it looks like to actually incorporate these practices. It's super inspirational. So I know there were a lot of questions that we maybe didn't get to today, but I hope we touched on the big ones. I know someone had asked about the difference between transcendental meditation and mindfulness. So before we go to the program descriptions, maybe we should touch on that point. I think every webinar we've had, that question comes up. So I know it's very important to address. Okay, thank you.
Very good question. Mindfulness, transcendental meditation is effortless, very simple, natural, effortless technique that anyone can perform, sitting comfortably with the eyes closed for 20 minutes twice a day. And in transcendental meditation, we make use of the natural tendency of the mind. What is that? Well, if you're sitting doing your homework and your favorite song comes on in the next room, where is your mind going to go? It's going to naturally be drawn to something that's more charming, unless you're really into your homework, which you will be if you study Ayurveda with us. But nevertheless, the mind naturally is thirsting for greater happiness, we're all looking for greater happiness, greater satisfaction, greater fulfillment. It's a natural thing. And in transcendental meditation, as the mind settles down effortlessly, it experiences increasing charm at every step, and ultimately comes to the field of pure consciousness, which is unbounded awareness. It's bliss. And so the mind finally finds its fulfillment. And so it just goes automatically, no effort. And it creates alpha-1 brainwave coherence all over the brain. Mindfulness, very nice technique. You become aware, and you're aware of your thoughts or your breath, and simply a witness. You stay aware, you stay alert, you give your attention to something. And that does change the brain, and it creates more theta waves in the brain. And theta waves are when the mind is alert, but attending to something. So you're actually tending to something, some object through the senses. So it has a certain effect, but it actually doesn't allow the mind to settle down and transcend, because when you transcend through TM, you go beyond thought. That's what the main transcendental means. Go beyond thought to unbounded awareness, pure consciousness, just pure silence, but wakeful silence. So it's completely different meditation, and both have their value. And we have hundreds of studies on transcendental meditation. It shows that it benefits all areas of life. And the American Heart Association has recommended TM as the only meditation that's been scientifically proven to lower blood pressure, for example, as compared to all other meditations. So it's very effective. It's very easy. Anyone can do it. And our students really enjoy, oh, this is the best part of this program. You asked me to meditate, and I didn't think I could meditate because my mind never settles down. But with TM, it does. And it's easy, and I look forward to it. It's not a strain. There's no effort. That's the uniqueness of TM.
All right, so I hope Shell got that last point there because Dr. Paul answered it. She asks, or I don't know, they ask, what do you tell students? Yeah, okay, good. What do you tell students that have a hard time shutting the mind off or letting go? And then you just said, thank you. So I guess you got your question answered. But as Dr. Paul was saying, you're not fighting anything in the mind, like even the thoughts or the natural tendency for the mind to move this way and that, because TM is not a focused or concentration technique. Okay, so we're going to have to move now into each person sharing their program details. I noticed that some people are trying to figure out how to maybe combine consciousness and human potential and Ayurveda. But as you can hear, everyone is learning transcendental meditation. So everyone does get quite a bit of exposure to consciousness in that whole paradigm. What you want to be thinking about as a prospective student is the degree to which you want to integrate those two disciplines. And there's different strategies for that. So let's start with the undergraduate program. Natasha will be representing online undergraduate program, but she also has some practical information for on-campus undergraduate students.
Yeah, so I'm just going to get ready to share my screen. So yeah, we do have, so the interesting thing about our online program, our program here, is that we do have an online and an on-campus option. And so you have actually 5 different tracks that you can choose from. And I'm just going to share this desktop here. Sorry. So the BA in Ayurveda Wellness and Integrative Health, the on-campus is really focused on this very immersive experience. We immerse our students into the purity of the knowledge of Maharishi Ayurveda. And the things that really stick out for this program is that our pulse technique, Nadi Vigyan, is taught from the start of the course, very first course to the very last course. And the nice thing for our on-campus courses, they're practicing it constantly. And so there's this confidence and comfort that you're going to build over time in learning Nadi Vigyan. And on top of that, you're practicing with Vaidyas and other Ayurvedic professionals. And so they're verifying your experience every step of the way. Additionally, our on-campus has some very beautiful labs. And so you will have these very comfortable, very nice, this nice environment where all of your courses are taken. Additionally, you're going to spend a minimum of 4 hours a day directly with your professors. And so this gives you full access to your faculty members. So you kind of get this more individualized approach to your education, where you'll be able to interact with professors, ask questions, get guidance. And then, of course, our courses on campus are very flexible. So, there is material being covered, but again, we have this very individualized approach. And so while we're covering the material, there's plenty of room where we get this kind of these discussions going, these one-on-one questions, these opportunities for students to fully explore this knowledge. Now, for our online program, what I really like about our online program is that it's a very diverse way of approaching the knowledge of Ayurveda. And so, if you're still interested in the purity of Ayurveda, we have our Ayurveda Wellness Consultant track. And so, this is for those people who are wanting to become Ayurveda wellness consultants. And here, this is where you will learn the purity of Maharishi Ayurveda, much in the same way as those on campus, but you just get to do it from the comfort of your own home. This course does require one course on campus. So we have an in-person clinical because there's really only so much you can teach online. So you'll have an opportunity to visit Fairfield and enjoy the campus experience. Now, if you are not able to join us on campus, we also have the Ayurveda Wellness Educator program. And so again, you're getting all of the knowledge of Ayurveda. However, this is completely from the comfort of your own home. And so this really gets our students ready to express and share the knowledge of Ayurveda in modern spaces. And so students in this track will have an opportunity to learn how to express and educate others on this knowledge. We also have a yoga and Ayurveda wellness track. And so this track is great for anybody who's hoping to become a yoga teacher, but also has a solid foundation with yoga or with Ayurveda. And then last but not least is my personal favorite, because I actually developed this track, is our life and wellness coaching track. So the life and wellness coaching track is really all about how we take the idea of that transcendental consciousness and Ayurveda. So we look to see how can we help people to get long-lasting change in a natural way. And so we help people to push out the noise of everyday life, connect with that silence so they can really hear that inner intelligence speak to them, so that they can find their own way to their own individual balance. And so we kind of integrate modern understanding of habit change with that ancient understanding of Ayurveda. So for our prerequisites, so all you need to join the BA here is a high school diploma or an equivalent. For our transfer students who are coming in with some extra credits, a 2.5 GPA. Our application deadline, if you are hoping to join us in February, which I'm hoping I'll see some of you in class, is January 15th. So go ahead and get those applications in, because I would love to see you in some of our BA courses.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's super comprehensive. And so that's the undergraduate program. So let's go to the graduate level. Maybe you can start with Dr. Paul Moorhead, representing MAVIM.
Thank you, Karen. Yes, the Masters in Maharishi Ayurveda Integrative Medicine is a 3-year part-time program, 8 to 10 hours per week of work online. We have 2 live webinars, 90 minutes each. Typically are Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday evening and Saturday morning, where you meet with the faculty live and they do presentations and interactive and case studies, discussions, and so forth. Where you study the week's materials and get to know them, apply the week's materials. And then each week you'll have several videos with the core content, along with printed materials. We have a textbook in the first 2 semesters, and extensive printed materials in all the semesters. But the Masters in Ayurveda is where we go deep. We get all the foundations in the first year, anatomy, physiology, basic pathology in the first year. And the second year and third year, we go through the 8 organ systems of the body, all the organ systems of the body, understand their anatomy and physiology from the modern side, from the Ayurvedic side, and also all the major imbalances and how to restore balance in that organ system. So musculoskeletal system, cardiovascular system, digestive system, respiratory system, like that. And it's interesting, in our programs, we study the organ systems according to the laws of nature discovered in understood in Ayurveda, in terms of the 8-fold 8 divisions of nature, 8 main divisions of nature called Eightfold Prakriti. So there's earth, water, fire, air, space, mind, intellect, and ego. So the earth element is manifest in the body as the musculoskeletal system. Very interesting. So that's where we study the musculoskeletal. The water, the fluids in the body, is the cardiovascular and renal systems. And the fire in the body is the digestive and metabolic systems like that. So it's beautiful. So we incorporate all, and this is unique to MIU, we incorporate all the knowledge of Ayurveda in these 8 organ systems. It's really a beautiful way to organize your whole understanding of anatomy, physiology, pathology, and management. You learn Maharishi Nadi Vigyan very well. And we come, as in the undergraduate, we come actually 1 week per semester in the Masters, live at MIU, or it can also be online for a whole week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. And you really apply and put together all the knowledge you've gained in that semester in a clinical setting. And if you're live, you got to take the pulse of the clients. And just finished our last clinical for the calendar year yesterday with 15 students here in the Masters. And it's really powerful. Tremendous growth in that 5 days when you're seeing clients, going through the discussion with the faculty right there with you, our Vides and doctoral faculty. Beautiful. So 3 years, 8 to 10 hours a week, 2 live webinars per week. And the webinars are recorded. You're required to make 10 of the 32 webinars per semester to be live for 10 of them, but the rest are recorded. You can watch the recording if you need to. There's weekly quizzes, interactive learning activities, case studies. It's really enjoyable. You get to bond also with your classmates. You're there live on there with the online in the webinars, and you get to know the students. And you have the teaching faculty, and you'll have a TA. With a small group of students, you have a teaching assistant who's right there with you, assessing your work every week. You get to know them. You can talk to them live anytime you want. You have a deep connection with your faculty and your fellow students, even if you're online. And then, of course, coming live for the clinicals is really the icing on the cake where you put it all together. And after that, 3 years, you have, and the prerequisites have to have a bachelor's, preferably in some health-related field, but it's not always necessary. If you have a passion for natural health care, then we usually accept those with other bachelors. But we need to see that you have an understanding and commitment of what it means to be in the healthcare area if you're attending to practice. We have many of our students who start the Masters because they want to go deep into this knowledge and help their own health. And that's the real beauty of this program. One can study anything, but studying the science of life, it changes your life. You learn about daily routine and you start doing it. And all of a sudden you have all this energy and your digestion is better and you feel happier. And you start meditating and you say, whoa, life is good. Studying the science of life changes your life. So all of our students notice that it's a great thing. Even if you practice or not, your life has changed for the better.
So we have 2 more programs to present. We are at the proposed ending time, but please stay to listen to Mahmuda talk about the aromatherapy program, and then Shankari will be closing out the webinar discussing the doctor's fellowship. So go ahead, Mahmuda.
Okay, great. So our program is focused on aromatherapy, Maharishi aromatherapy, and Maharishi Ayurveda. So you get both fields of knowledge in 1 degree, and it's 3 years part-time online, just like the program Dr. Paul explained. It requires about 10 to 12 hours of commitment per week to go through the lessons and all the coursework. You have 2 days per week that you interact with faculty and your teaching assistant who will help you whenever you need more expansion or understand elaboration on topics that you may feel that could be challenging. Also, the faculty is there by email. You could email your faculty and connect with them during this webinars that they hold on a weekly basis. And the first year of the program focuses mostly on introducing you to concepts of Maharishi Ayurveda and Maharishi aromatherapy. So, and also Nadi Vigyan, which is self-pulse assessment. And you learn all those concepts and you have a good idea of how to find out your own constitution, your client's constitution, and how to create basic aromatherapy and Ayurveda recommendations. In the second year, we go a little advanced. We get into aromatherapeutic blending. So we create more blends using essential oils. And also the Ayurvedic perspective gets a little advanced. We go into more in the tissue systems and the organ systems and all that. And third year, which is the final year, the focus is more to prepare you to establish your own practice. So there's more focus on you having to work with practice clients and put what you have learned into practice. But throughout all the 3 years, every year you get 2 weeks of professional training. That's something that we call similar to clinical training Dr. Paul was explaining, but it's all online. So you master self-pulse assessment online, you master your clinical skills, which you'll be applying with your clients. And you also do a lot of case studies, and you have live case studies where you actually interact with a real client and learn how to assess their imbalance and prepare recommendation plans under supervision of your teachers, instructors, and faculty of the course. And so that's basically overview of the 3 years. And admission is very simple. You just go to our website, you apply to the program. As long as you have a bachelor's degree, we prefer in health field, but any field. And it's your passion that's more important, that you are willing to really grow as a person, because that's what this program does, and all programs at MIU. And the impact is great also for you on a personal level, and also you want to bring that out to the world and really make a difference in the world for one person at a time.
All right, good to know that we're flexible about the undergraduate degree, though you do prefer, health background. Okay, so let's finish with the doctor's fellowship program with Dr. Shankari.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thank you to all the directors who've talked about their program. I'm happy to share some slides about the fellowship program. And this fellowship, this term fellowship, means it's a training program for post-residency training that allows physicians to specialize further in a field and gain deeper breadth and depth of knowledge in that particular field. There's about 20 fellowships in integrative medicine, and our fellowship at the university, at Maharishi International University, is the first integrative medicine fellowship with a focus in Ayurveda in the world. So this is a huge, stride, and it's advancing that field of integrative medicine. And just to talk a little bit more about this, our program is a 2-year distance learning training program leading to an MS degree, and it's mainly online. It is approximately 1,200 hours divided equally in Ayurveda and also general integrative medicine. And the general integrative medicine portion of our program is in collaboration with the University of Arizona Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine, who contributed their foundational fellowship curriculum and are partnering with us. And they have been teaching physicians and health professionals for more than 20 years in integrative medicine. We also provide this value of distance learning on your own schedule. So it's primarily online, but we have a live webinar every 2 weeks. And we also have a 1-week on-site training every year at our campus in Fairfield, Iowa. We also really focus in our program on many main principles. So there's really practical clinical skills that you can implement right away into your practice through this understanding of diet, herbals, mind-body therapies, 5 sense therapies, through pulse diagnosis, exercise, and also on evidence-based guidelines for different kinds of imbalances. And really the main focus when we're talking about all of this is, along with these practical clinical skills, it's also for for practitioner self-care. And this is so important that, clinical, like clinician burnout and exhaustion is something that almost all healthcare providers experience. And so this training that we provide at the fellowship really focuses on practitioner self-care, as well as how we can give optimal self-care for our patients, providing whole health for our patients and for our community. This program is also approved by the American Board of Integrative Medicine, known as ABOIM. And this is something that allows physicians to sit for that board exam and become board certified in integrative medicine at the end of our 2-year program. Our core faculty, you can see here on this slide, these are our core faculty: Dr. Prasad, Dr. Elder, Drs. Elder, I should say, as well as myself. And then we also provide live webinars every 2 weeks with our Ayurveda core faculty, who go through the Ayurvedic aspect of our different clinical cases and bring out the nuances of how this could be implemented into our health practice, as well as guest faculty who are ABOIM certified, as well as certified in their specific fields. So, we have many guest faculty that come through every 2 weeks that you can interact with, ask questions with directly, listen to their research, and go deeper into the field. And this is an amazing opportunity in building community, not only with each other, but also with the professionals who are practicing and incorporating this into their practice. The entrance requirements are that applicants must be licensed healthcare providers and, physicians, MD, DOs, advanced practice, registered nurses, physician assistant, naturopathic physicians, doctors of pharmacy or pharmacists, dentists, chiropractors, doctors of Chinese medicine. And there's a whole application process that's very simple, and we're so excited to help with that. And again, at the end of the 2 years, our physicians can sit for this board exam and become certified as ABOIM approved to be board certified in integrative medicine. Just want to share a couple of pictures of our healthcare providers. This is our very first cohort who's going through. And these are just amazing healthcare providers, doctors, nurses, PAs, who've come together. This is our second group, and this is when, in our clinical week, we all come together. We get to meet each other in person, finally, and it's just such a joy, just to kind of learn and share and grow together. And we all, practice our yoga together, our meditation. So that's how we start the day. We end the day in the same way. We learn more about that experience of meditation and how it changes the brain. We learn different kinds of recipes that we can provide for patients, and as well as learning where our food comes from. So understanding soil health and the impact of agriculture on our food systems, and as well as Nadi Vigyan, so all of our healthcare providers go deep into learning this for themselves as well as for their patients. And so this is something that we are so excited about, and we have our next entry in August. And we have clinical weeks that happen at the end of October every year. And so this is something, that when we meet with everybody, we just kind of go through and make sure this is comfortable for each person in their medical practice.
Thank you so much. I think we've hit on the major points of knowledge. Obviously, we couldn't get to all the points about how to make the program work, but don't worry, we have other resources for you. Thank you so much to our panelists for bringing your expertise and your inspiring points of knowledge. I'm going to give some final practical points for anyone who's staying online. And the first thing is that our next application deadline is January 15th for the February entry. That's mainly for the undergraduate program. And which graduate programs? Maybe you have to remind me. Not all of them.
Masters in Ayurveda has a February entry.
Okay, good to know. Otherwise, the other ones have an August entry. So any of our web pages have that apply button up top. And we will continue to offer these interactive webinars. Sometimes people just come for the knowledge. That's totally fine. So another way to continue a conversation is to request a meeting with a professor. So if you have something specific we didn't address today, you always have that option. And a really cool thing, once you are accepted to be a student, you can now learn Transcendental Meditation at any center for no additional cost. So, and we encourage you to learn Transcendental Meditation before becoming a student. But if you can't fit that in, don't worry. We do give you some time once you've started your classes to fulfill that requirement. And so that brings us to the end of the webinar. We'll stay on the line, and maybe if there's some additional points, we can address them. Otherwise, we hope to see you at a future webinar or in one of our classes. Thank you for joining us.